Good night, everyone.
Good night.
Good night. Trust that everyone is doing well. Like last time that I presented, house rules pretty much remain the same. Keep your mics off. If you have a question to ask, you can ask it. Obviously, you have to turn on your mic, but when you finish ask your question, make your comment, turn off the mic again. All right, so the act of shooting, as Ian said earlier, my partner Roberto, he may be late. Sorry, he may not even make it, but if he does, he will be late for sure. So I will go ahead and present on the act of shooting. Go ahead, Ian. Definition. A shot for a field goal or a free throw is when the ball is held in a player's hands and is then thrown in the air towards the opponent's basket. A tap is when the ball is directed with the hands towards the opponent's basket. A dunk is when the ball is forced downwards into the opponent's basket with one or both hands. A tap and a dunk are also considered as shots for a field goal. Now, these are the types of shots that you can have in a basketball game. The act of shooting begins when the player starts the continuous movement, normally preceding the release of the ball, and in the judgment of an official, has started an attempt to score by throwing, tapping, or dunking the ball towards the opponent's basket. That's when it begins. And it ends when the ball has left the player's hand or hands, and in the case of an airborne shooter, both feet have returned to the floor. During his act of shooting, the player might have his arm or arms held by an opponent, thus preventing him from scoring. In this case, it is not essential that the ball leaves the player's hands. When a player is in the act of shooting, and after being fouled, he passes the ball off, he is no longer considered to have been in the act of shooting. There is no relationship between the number of steps taken and the act of shooting. A continuous movement in the act of shooting begins when the ball has come to rest in the player's hand or hands, and the shooting motion, usually upward, has started. It may include the player's arm or arms and or body movement in his attempt to shoot for a field goal. It ends when the ball has left the player's hand or hands, or if an entirely new act of shooting is made. Now, as Ian said earlier, the act of shooting is a very, very short rule, extremely short. Because as you can see, I just listed and told y'all everything that's in the rule book as it relates to the act of shooting. That is the entire rule that we just went through. So now I'm going to open the floor to questions as it relates to anything that I would have said before we get to the videos.
All right.
Anybody at all got anything to say? Questions, comments, queries?
Yeah, question.
Go ahead, Mr. Turon.
Right, Turon Francis here from Grenada. Good night to you.
Yeah.
I think so far most of what you said is very self-explanatory. I think it was very clear. What I just want to ask is, if a player is driving towards the basket, he picks up that ball, and he gets fouled on the first step. And it is considered, when he makes the second step, a continuation to the basket. However, instead of making the second step, he made 2 more steps, so he basically traveled. And he scores the ball. Does the basket even count, or does that just consider a travel violation and a foul, or do we not call that extra step?
Okay.
Tell me what you think. Tell me what you think. Think about the things that I just said and the traveling rule and your common sense for officiating and the game, and then tell me what you think. Just break it down step by step like how you told me.
Yeah, all I was asking is...
I understand the question.
All right, hold on, Jen. Go ahead, Mr. T.
You see, now, I understand that that player got fouled on the first step.
Right.
So he makes that second step and he scores that basket, it counts, and he goes to the line. However, if he makes a third step and he travels, yes, I know he got fouled and he was in the act of shooting because he picked up that ball towards the basket. But what am I saying is, do we call that travel violation?
Okay, let me ask you a question. Which happened first, the foul or the travel?
The foul.
So then anything that happens after the foul is of no consequence. Unless there's no relationship between the number of steps he would have taken and in the act of shooting, as highlighted in the rules. If you call a foul on that first step, anything else he does thereafter is of no significance, unless it was that in the act of shooting, he passed off the ball, he began a different maneuver. When you call that foul, at the time of calling that foul, had the ball been gathered up? That's the question. Good. So once he is gathered up, that ball, that is seen as the act of shooting has begun, right? The act of shooting has begun until he has done something completely different. So if he begins a new act of shooting, or if he passes off the ball, or if he holds the ball, at the time of the foul, he was in the act of shooting. Does this answer your question?
Okay, cool. Yes.
Jen, I have a question.
Go ahead, Ms. Robinson.
Jen, I don't know if I missed it already, but the upward motion. Wait, hold on. I don't know. I had a reverb going on. The act of shooting. I missed the slide about the upward motion that starts the act of shooting? If you can we go back to that slide?
What about Ian? Please.
No problem.
Thank you.
Okay, so I have a gripe with the act of shooting and a charge being called. Because, usually a lot of players, it seems like their upward motion has started and then however, they still go into that defender and then a charge is called. So what happens first? Are we looking at the upward motion, which is considered in the act of shooting, and then we looking at the charge block call, or how does it go?
Okay, so there's no relationship in terms of, okay, the act of shooting may begin, okay, but if you have committed a charge, the act of shooting is not an offense. The act of shooting is a motion. Agreed?
Yes.
Right? So the charge would be a violation or in the game. So you have got to call the charge.
Okay.
Yeah, even though it's in the upward movement, like Ian said, the act of shooting is a motion. Because when he goes with the upward movement, there's nothing to blow as yet. And then you have to wait until something happens. So it's either he charges into the player or the player blocks him or pushes him, whatever. And then you would blow. So the upward motion in itself is not an issue. It's what happens after the upward movement to the basket.
Understood. Thank you.
You're welcome. Anybody else?
I've got Mr. Wilfred asking, can you speak about the time that is needed for every shot, please?
I don't understand. What do you mean the time that is needed for every shot?
Mr. Wilfred, can you unmute your mic?
Yes. Okay. Good night. I just meant at the end of the game for a normal shot, do you got 1 second for a tip? How many times for a dunk? How many times? That's what I meant.
Okay. I think it's 0.03 seconds is the least amount of time for a legal field goal
to be attempted.
In FIBA. 0.03 seconds. That's the least amount of time that you can have a legal shot, a dunk. If you could get it off, if you get a shot off in that time, a shot, anything below that, it's not gonna work. Not for a FIBA.
Does that answer your question?
Yeah, yes. I just thought it was different between a normal shot and a tip and a dunk. But yes, okay.
Yeah, 0.03 seconds it is. No matter which type of shot you take, it's the least amount of time.
Now, for clarity, making sure that that's the least amount of time, and it does not mean that it has to be made in that time. This is the least amount of time left on the clock, okay? So remember, you've got 24 seconds, 14 seconds to get off a shot. So that's just for clarity. Any other questions?
I'm still confused. The question the first caller asked, the first question, sorry. Good night, by the way. Yeah, he said it's on the first step, the player gathered, picked up the ball, and to make his second step for a layup, he's fouled on the first step. And then he continues and he travels and finishes the basket and scores. You're saying you count the basket because he gathered?
All right, okay.
He was in the act of shooting?
Let me answer this. Let's answer this in sequence. We agree that every time there is a violation, the clock stops. Correct? Correct? Mr.
Yeah.
Lugar?
Yeah. Sorry about that, yes.
So when in the sequence of which things happen, and this is what our judgment in any rule that we look at, any infraction that we look at in the game, we must follow the sequence in which they happen. If the foul occurred first, then we need to immediately stop the clock. If this clock is stopped, what happens afterwards. So for example, if he traveled afterwards, it is of no consequence because the clock has been stopped because of the foul occurring. Does it make sense? Is it clear?
So, and does it 2 points
So
count?
do you count the basket?
Now let's look at that. If you had called, okay, so you're calling the continuous motion now of the basket. The continuous motion happens. The continuous motion goes through and he lays up the ball and it scores. That's what you're saying.
Correct. That's it. Right.
It's a continuous motion. So you can't judge how many steps he or she would have taken thereafter. You continue the game. Well, let's put it this way. Continuous motion up, basket counts. If you believe in your judgment that he did not get the shot off, okay, you would then award 2 free throws. So if you're saying, look, because of him taking those 3 steps or those 4 steps, he didn't get the clock, he didn't get the shot off, award 2 free throws. Am I making sense? Mr. Lugar,
yeah, I'm here. I got him on mute and mute. So
yeah. So am I making sense? If in your view he did not get the shot off.
Right.
So what you're saying is that
in my view, he committed an infraction to finish the basket, to make the basket.
All right, so he didn't get the shot off.
Right. That's what I'm thinking.
Safe to go to 2 free throws.
Exactly. I'm thinking it's not a continuous motion. To me, he had to gather back the ball and then make 2 extra steps.
Go for 2 free throws.
Right.
2 or 3 free throws, as the case may be. So let's make that clear.
Correct. That's right.
Any other questions?
Thank you.
Yeah, I got one. Lorenzo Ferber from Suriname.
Yes, go ahead, Mr. Lorenzo.
If I'm getting it right, so what you are saying, if I call the foul act of shooting, and what the other 2 people were saying just now, and he commits a foul after that, an infraction. Let's say we are talking about another step, extra step. That makes it 3 steps. Okay, let's put it aside. You're saying that we should call either 2 shots, free throw, or is a continuation.
Okay, so what I'm saying, all right, let's say the player A1 has player B2, or B2 has A1 holding to prevent him from making that shot. We've called a foul.
Yeah.
He's still holding that player. That player makes about 6-7 steps, and then he releases the player, and the player throws the ball up. That is not a continuous motion. Okay?
Yeah.
Even though there's a travel, bam, 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 that's of no consequences. But that is not a continuous motion. So you would shoot 2 free throws. I am going back now, as Mr. Tiron had put his situation, the player in his scenario made an additional step. So I am saying to you, he did not get the shot off. So you've got to go for 2 free throws.
Okay. Because he did get a shot off in one step, he then must that count or not? But if I will count that one, the other player is, to me, is like this. When I give one extra step on the occasion, that means other player will do 2 more steps after that. And it's just the same because you only have the chance to do 2 steps. It's 1, 2, and not 1, 2, 3 or 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So
You
I
are
want to,
correct. So then you have got to shoot 2 free throws.
yes,
Right, you cancel the basket. If the ball goes through the hoop, you cancel that. And you give 2 shots.
yes, that's what I'm thinking. So 1, 2, that's it. 1, 2, 3, no basket. You got 2 shots. That's it.
Right. So
That's my point of view.
right.
Because
Okay.
in a reward, third step, other players, the coaches, or even the crowd will say that if other player do that and he makes 2 extra steps, it's the same as 1 extra step.
Thank
So
you.
I will just leave it at 1, 2, no basket. You make a third step, no basket, you get 2 shots. That's my opinion.
Correct.
Right.
You are correct.
Okay, thank you.
Anybody else?
Good night. This Mark Nicholas Texan Cakers.
Go ahead, Mark.
Ba Based on what he just was talking about, like it's based on the judgment of the officials. So if the foul caused the player to take just the extra step and release the ball, based on the judgment of the official, you can judge it if it's because of the foul. You can award the shot and 1 free throw, right? Because you say based on the judgment of the official. Because if the player get foul, a hard foul, and it cause him to take an extra step, because sometimes you get foul, it depends on the movement, and you get foul towards the basket. So you would.
It is either within the context of the game that you got the shot off or you didn't. If you didn't get the shot off in time or you took additional steps, you're going to have to go to the free throws.
Okay, thank you.
Right? Remember now, in the act of shooting will always result in free throws. That is this is why it is so important to establish if a player is in the act of shooting or not. And this is the point we want to get across to you. If a player is in the act of shooting, they will always be free throws or free throws.
Yes, okay.
Because
with the
the,
zero.
in the presentation, which is the rule, it says there is no relationship between the number of legal steps taken. Legal steps taken. And the act of shooting. Legal steps taken. Those are the keywords. There is no relationship between the number of legal steps. So 0 step, 1 step, 2 step, all that is legal.
Mm-hmm. Continuous motion.
Okay.
Anything outside of that is not legal.
Legal. So you're going to free throws.
So you cancel the basket and you get 2 shots.
Right.
Okay. Thank you.
You're welcome.
So let's look at some videos. If just a minute.
Just like last time again, we're gonna put the link of the video in the chat. You just go click on the link, it will take you directly to the video. You watch it, gather your thoughts, and you can come back. Mhm.
Any views?
Active shooting or not?
Yes, he was in the active shooting.
Why? Why do you think so?
He had gathered the ball and was on the, spinning to and started going up. His body motion. He had gathered the ball and started going up.
Okay. But he didn't release the ball, did he?
No, he didn't release the ball because of the way he was fouled. He wasn't able to gather the ball properly
Oh,
by the way the foul was committed.
okay. Cool. Take a pill.
All right, good night, everyone. I think that it wasn't in the act of shooting, looking at his position, and his back was basically to the basket. He didn't quite gather the ball. If we want to use the explanation that you would have just given, the context that you would have just given it in how, despite him going upward, his back was to the basket and he was basically making a pass. So he really wasn't going to shoot for me.
You say he was going to make a pass. What makes you think he was going to make a pass?
Because of the position that he was in. When he went up, he was basically kind of like back in the basket and not really facing it. So that's what happened after the play as well. Simultaneously, when the whistle was blown, he was actually passing the ball.
He was passing the ball.
Yeah, at least that's what I saw. Could be wrong. I watched again.
What makes you think that the foul didn't stop him from completely turning and facing the basket?
Because, like I said, simultaneously with the whistle, he made a pass. So it was tweet and then, unless my glasses need cleaning or something.
Yeah, let's watch that again. I'm gonna ask you to watch it again, and everybody watch it again, and let's go at it. We want to make sure that we're getting it right.
I think it's in the act of shooting. I actually paused the video when he gathered the ball, and then this continuous motion up. The defender left hand was actually in his shot pocket, and his left hand wasn't making contact with the shooter's elbow. So I think it was in the act of shooting because he gathered and then he started turning towards the basket to shoot, and that's when contact occurred.
Okay. Bro.
I had to watch it a million times. Jen, I have a question. Since you're a referee that I've seen ref before, when y'all blow the whistle, do y'all blow the whistle and your hand go up at the same time? Because I had to pause the video to see when the actual call was called because I can't hear it. So I paused it at that point and he was already in the air. So
yeah, when go ahead.
No, go ahead.
When you blow the whistle, it means you're stopping the game. So you have to give a sign to everybody in the arena as to when you're stopping the game.
Okay, so it's whistle first, then hand. Okay.
Yeah.
So yeah, I'm gonna go when I stop the video. Then yeah, he was in the air and he had the ball gathered when I saw that point. Other than that, I don't know. Y'all the professionals.
All right. Let me ask everybody this one question. When we speak about gathering up the ball is gathered up under control. So it's basically you've either gathered the ball in both hands. Did that occur in this place?
Yep.
Yeah, it occurred, but again,
no. Just answer that. Don't preempt. Just answer that.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Was it a continuous motion for a field goal?
Yes.
Yes, it was a continuous motion for a jump, spin and shoot.
Yeah, but like I mentioned, I was looking at his position to the basket. So
Right, that's what I ask you, Royal. What makes you think that? Because a person just said jump, spin, and shoot. So what makes you think that his motion right before he was told wasn't a turn to square up to the basket, but got stopped because of the foul?
Of the squaring up, of the contact.
Well, I was actually just about to say maybe the foul interrupted him from completing the move, but in that position when it happened, he was actually kind of back in the basket.
Okay.
Okay. So hold on a minute. Hold on, and we want to get this very clear.
Hold a minute, Ian. Did he pass the ball, Roll?
Well, when I look it back, no, he didn't pass the ball.
Good.
So sorry.
and this is exactly what I was gonna say just now. We have to judge the action of the player and not what it is okay to anticipate, to have a knowledge of, but you cannot judge the anticipation. So until that player has held the ball, passed the ball, he or she remains in the act of shooting once the ball has been gathered up. Jennifer, do you agree with me, yes or no?
Yes.
So to make it easier for everyone, once the ball is gathered up, you must judge that action that this player, so in your head, once this player has gathered up the ball, now you're not gonna see in the act of shooting if the player is in backcourt dribbling to, unless you gotta look at the game now. So if you I'll give you a scenario here. We've got 2 seconds left on the shot clock in the second quarter, and the ball is being inbounded. A player gathers up the ball in backcourt and is fouled. What do you think that player was going to do with that ball at that time?
He was attempting to beat the clock and make a shot.
Anybody else of that view?
Well, I have no idea what she's gonna do.
So what you've got to do is judge what? What have you got to do?
Judge the player's action.
Correct.
Judge the
You have to wait. You cannot. Action.
You've got to judge the player's action.
So yeah, now is where you look for the upward motion to see if he was going up to make the shot.
Exactly. Now, if in the normal flow of the game, okay, a player comes up the court, if he or she gathers up the ball, what are you looking at? What is the intention?
A shot.
To shoot or pass, but ready to shoot.
So in other words, once the ball is gathered up, you have got to look at what the action of the player is and not what the intention. So they've got to show you that action, what they intended to do. They've got to show you that action. We can't prove intent. Intent is one of those things, even in the criminal court, you can't prove. You've got to show, you can show intent, but not prove intent.
So I want to ask a question based on my interpretation of what I would have seen in the video, for not giving, for saying that he was not in the act of shooting because I explained his back to the basket. Then I would be putting him at a disadvantage because based on your explanation, he had gathered to shoot despite the position of his body.
Correct. Because let me ask you this question. What was Kareem Abdul-Jabbar famous for?
The sky hook.
How did this guy's hook start? From what action? Where was he? His back was always to the ring for the sky hook. So if he had a ball gathered up going for a sky hook, he's not in the act of shooting? I'm asking a question.
Correct.
Everyone gets where I'm coming from. If you don't understand, I want you to ask us, to put us in place. Ask us. All right, I'm going to put another video in the group. Good. Another video has been put in.
Oh, that's basket.
Hold on. All right.
I don't think that's continuation. That's not in the, he hasn't gathered.
Why not?
What? I wanna know.
He was fouled. He was fouled on the drive past the player, body contact, and then he gathered the ball.
So he was still dribbling, in your opinion.
Right. I think he was coming out of a dribble when the foul occurred.
The ball was at rest?
Correct. The ball was in. He was actually going past the defender on a dribble.
But was the ball at rest?
No.
It was not at rest. Okay.
After contact, then he make a step and pick up.
Okay.
All right, but if I may though, this play looks similar to something Lugard had questioned earlier, when he wanted clarity from from a play that someone had asked, in terms of what happens after a foul. If he doesn't travel, just like now he made legal steps and then scored, and you said the basket counts. So in this case, this is basically the visual for what you guys would have explained, what Lugard had asked. So for me, it's basket.
Hello, this is Andrew from Bermuda.
Hi, good night.
Good night. Based on what I've seen, the ball was gathered prior to the foul, and then the player took two step, made the basket. So basket good, one shot. Thank you.
Anybody else?
Yeah. To me, it looks like a continuation because the contact was made as he tried to step around, and as he was stepping around, the ball was already gathered with one hand, and then he put the second hand on and made the driving. So that's continuation to me. Basket good and one shot.
Okay. Anybody else?
Dion Williams from Jamaica.
Yes, Henry Williams here from Jamaica.
All right, hold on, Mr. Henry. Just Mr. Dion, you go ahead.
Yes, as I was saying, that's continuation. Basket would be good because after the foul, the contact on the foul, the player did not make any additional dribble. So he just gathered and take his the steps that is allowed. Basket was made. Basket's good and one.
All right, Mr. Henry.
Yes, sir. He was fouled on his gathered step. He completed his 2 steps and then shot the ball. Ball good, basket good, and one.
All right, I want to clear up something there. There is no relationship between at what stage you gathered up the ball. Okay? So let's make sure that we understand that you can gather the ball at any point in those steps that you're allowed. 1, 2, or okay?
0, 1, 2.
0, 1, 2. So you can gather the ball at any stage. What? Okay, and I'm not going to answer this as yet. So I want to hear some more. All right, we've got Mr. Gary Benjamin. He believes that the foul is in the act of shooting. Okay, anybody else?
Yes, Lorenzo again.
Go ahead, Lorenzo.
I think he's a very smart player because while he's dribbling, he noticed that the other player was committing a foul. So he went for it. So he made one dribble, gathered the ball, and went straight to the hoop. And at that point, when he's beside the other defender, he knows that he will reach for the ball, and so he went for the contact. So he's very smart player. It's in the act of shooting. 1, 2, basket counts.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Anybody else?
All right, Jennifer, you go for it before I say anything.
No, it's in the act of shooting.
Good.
Hi, good night. You guys hear me?
Yeah, Mr. Kieran, go ahead.
To me, well, in my judgment, which is the line I have to use, I guess, he was still dribbling the ball so that he would have got the contact, and upon receiving the contact is when he decided to gather and make a 1-2. To me, he was dribbling the ball to get past the player, and upon the foul or when receiving the contact, that's when he picked up the ball to do his 1-2.
So no act of shooting for you.
All right. Go ahead, Jen.
No, I was saying it was no act of shooting for you.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's what Kieran is saying.
Okay. It is in the act of shooting though. Like we see in the video, because I'm actually watching it while you were giving your explanation. I went to watch it again. The player took one dribble, picked up the ball, and as he was going to place his second hand on the ball, because he picked it up with one hand, as he was going to place his second hand on the ball, the defender caused contact. And in one continuous motion, he went straight to the basket.
1, 2, and up.
The act of shooting. Right.
So this. Go ahead, Jenny.
And read what was said earlier. It said a continuous movement in the act of shooting begins when the ball has come to rest in the player's hand, singular, or hands.
Or hands.
And the shooting motion, usually upward, has started. This may include the player's arms and or body movement in his attempt to shoot for a field goal. And it ends when the ball has left the player's hands for like a layup or an entirely new act of shooting is made. But for this particular one,
continuous motion.
Continuous motion to the basket.
So this is one of the calls that we've got to now try and make consistent.
Correct.
Throughout the region. So we can't have, if we have some referees calling it continuous act, and some calling it's not a continuous act. It's going to still leave the players, coaches, and spectators. You know, it becomes this referee likes me and that referee doesn't like me. So if we can make this one of those consistent calls that we make throughout the region, throughout the world, it will bring the once we get to the stage of looking at what is in the act of shooting. So the ball comes to rest in either the player's hand or hands and a continuous motion in attempt for a field goal remains the act of shooting. If we put this as our reason or our analysis of the player, we wouldn't get it wrong. So until that player begins a new act of shooting or passes the ball or holds on to the ball, we've got the act of shooting. Let's look at another video.
Right.
Before you go,
Dominica.
Go ahead.
You used one nice example there early on when you mentioned Karim. And from the time you mentioned that, I just get the whole picture of all what's coming. The example that you use of Karim taking the skyhook and the act of gathering the shots and so on.
Yes, sir.
That to me was right on point, and I just seen everything clear now. Thanks.
Thank you for that. All right, here we go.
Here from Bermuda, I have a question.
Go ahead.
I just need some clarity.
Go ahead.
If in that particular play that we just looked at, and we're talking about a smart player, my question is, if a player recognizes that a contact is about to be made, or contact was made, but instead of taking another dribble, they then gathers the ball and shoot. As long as there's no continuation of the dribble, we're to treat it as gathering and a continuation, and the basket is good. Just want to get some clarity.
Well, you see, there are some smart players in the NBA, different set of rules, but some things still apply. That as soon as they feel the contact and hear the whistle, they completely change what they were doing and chuck the ball at the ring. Now, you as a referee, you have to see that. You have to judge that and know that that is not a continuous motion.
Correct.
Because like was said earlier, some of the players are really smart. So you have to
that's so funny. That's what I thought happened. That's what I thought happened. I thought he drove past after the contact was made. Instead of taking a next dribble, he just picked up the ball, made his steps.
He didn't even miss a trade in this example, which leads me to believe that's exactly what he wanted to do.
Yeah.
It was so smooth. Like, he didn't even stutter. He didn't even do anything. It just looked like if he decided, I'm going to take one dribble
and go for it
and go straight to the basket. That's exactly how that looked to me. And it just so happens the guy reached.
So therefore, Jennifer, you basically have to also officiate the intent of the player then, of the player.
Use the content, no, use the intent to your knowledge, but judge the actions. That's right. What you have to do. Judge the action, but have a knowledge of what the intent of the player is.
Because as an official, you have to learn to anticipate, and you only get that from officiating and from knowing teams and knowing players. When you get to, like my partner Roberto, he's refereed at so many tournaments. He knows pretty much everybody that comes to the tournament, so he like knows what they do, what they don't do, how they react. You know, it's like just getting to know somebody. So, but you need to judge, not saying that they can't do things out of character, but you need to judge what the players actually do.
Doing the action. So, and this is even fair for you because you referee the players in your league more often than anybody. So if I was in Trinidad, if I had come to Trinidad, I might not know the players, but you as a referee that is refereeing in that league, you would know the players, you would know the actions of the players. So you would have a knowledge of their intent, but you're judging only their actions. All right, there's another video in for you, so you can go ahead and start watching.
This video though, this video is a long one. It is a whole list of examples of the act of shooting. So because we still have about 30 minutes or so, I guess we could go through as many as we can get done within the time frame. So just watch one video, one part of the video in terms of the actual play, one play, sorry, of the video. And then we will come back and discuss.
So I'm gonna ask you that when you're watching to just watch one part of the play and pause, don't stop, because then we're gonna go back to the next play, okay?
All right, from what you can see here, the first one, very first one, the second one are very clear cut. Very, very, very clear. So two of those, in my opinion, I don't know if anybody else has a different view. Even the third one, very clear cut. You know, contact is very visible. The referees blow, and it is you can easily see that it is in the act of shooting. Anybody sees anything different to that? Everybody just sees motion to basket, foul, points good or no good, but it's in the act of shooting.
Definitely clear cut, too easy.
Right. Everybody on that page, or people have questions?
Didn't see the video.
You can't see the link in the chat? You see the link in the chat?
Definitely free throws. And one continuation.
The person that said that they couldn't see the video, you saw the link in the chat?
That's Rodney. I think Rodney's on his
Yes, I
phone.
see it now. I see it now.
Good. All right.
Cool. So the first three fouls are pretty clear cut, yes?
Yes, very clear.
Good. So the first one that we could discuss is the one with Allen Iverson. Everybody watch that one already? And give you a minute or so to watch it. What do y'all think on that one? The act of shooting or the ball to inbound?
I would say, Tasmar here from the Cayman Islands. I would say yes, he's in the act of shooting because he gathers the ball, takes his 2 steps, and then the defender steps up and blocks his path to the basket, causing him to, having to lean away to take the shot.
Okay.
I would say 2 shots. He gathered heading to the basket. There was no teammates of his in front of him but the basket, and he was already on his drive to the rim as well. So 2 shots.
Yeah, he was in the act of shooting. Yeah, he gathered and they blocked him, but he still got the shot off. That was active shooting. So it should be 2 shots.
Darius, you have your hand raised. You want to say something, or that's an accident? Darius?
Yeah, Wilfred. If you look at it good, it depends on for which person the referee whistled the foul. Because the first player, when he was dribbling, the first player already was how do you say it in English? Was disturbing him. So I don't think that it is in the act of shooting if the foul was made by the first defender for holding.
This is the same video, Allen Iverson, yes?
Yes.
Papa, aku kelamben kopi laptop.
Okay, can I ask this question? I'm gonna ask you 3 questions, and these are the 3 questions you should be asking yourself every time you blow that whistle. These are the 3 questions that you need to ask yourself. At the time of the foul, okay, was the ball gathered up? Okay, so we can answer that one first. Was the ball gathered up? Or did the ball come to rest in his hand or hands?
Yes.
Okay. Did he make a continuous motion in an attempt for a field goal?
Yes.
Yes, he did.
Correct, he did.
Okay. So if it's good, basket counts. If it's not, we're shooting field goals. You've got to look at it that way. Either you're going to confuse yourself. You're going to confuse yourself. This is, to me, this is clear cut in the act of shooting. If you think of the principle of advantage, disadvantage, it's going to make it much easier for you to make your decisions as an official. Jen?
Yeah, so okay. So we finished with that video. Everybody understands, because even if you let the video run, it will tell you that it was a foul, but the official got it wrong, and it is in the act of shooting. So we're on to the next video.
I'm sorry, Andrew, here, before you go, I think that caller that was asking, I think he was referring to what some people might call an incidental contact that occurred before the true foul. When the first defenders, I think the first defender's right on,
shoulder.
I don't know if it was resting on Allen Iverson before he came through and made contact with the other defender who had a moving foul. So I think I think he's referring to that first contact to say in that first contact, Allen Iverson did dribble the ball another time before what we are deeming the foul that took place occurred.
Okay. All right. That can be possible because referees do blow late calls. So that is very, very possible. The next video. Press play and then you can go ahead and watch it.
Black 4 penetrates to the opponent's basket. After a dribble, he takes the ball in his hands, and at this moment is held by White 14. Foul on White 14. The team in black is awarded the ball from the sideline.
Wrong.
Wrong. Black 4 has already started his continuous movement preceding the release of the ball, and the active shooting has begun.
So everybody sees or saw what happened in the clip. Everybody understands. It's basically the same thing as the one with Allen Iverson. Basically the same. Everybody sees that it is in the act of shooting. Yes, no, maybe so.
Yeah,
No.
clearly.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay, so that one was pretty easy too. All right, let's keep rolling unless anybody has any questions. To the next clip. Now this is the one with Diana Taurasi, and I think that is Lauren. Everyone watched the one with Diana Taurasi?
Yes, I watched it. Yeah,
What
she was in the act of shooting because when she got bumped, she gathered the ball and completed the shot.
And I would say to you, it's the same thing as the previous video, the video, not in this clip, in the previous clip that we looked at.
Yes, same thing. Same thing.
Agreed, same thing.
Mr. Rawl, Mr. Tony.
I'm here.
Yeah, so it's so you see where we're trying to go at with the consistency. If we see these actions, then we've got to call it this type of way, not maybe or we must. So this is what we're trying to get to you to make sure that when we finish here, that we will be all calling it consistently throughout the region.
Nice.
Jen?
Yeah, the video with Stefan Marbury, I think that's who he is. Everybody watch that one? I think it just is very similar.
Yeah.
So we're understanding the whole concept of the act of shooting. Yes?
Yes.
Okay.
Okay.
Awesome. Well, that's pretty much it for me. Like I said, there are many videos, many clips in that particular video, and they actually tell you if the calls are correct or incorrect. But you know, it's just very easy to go on YouTube and just type in whatever you want, and as it relates to basketball, and they will give you videos on it.
Jen?
But
Yeah, I've got another one. It's just 2 short clips to show. One minute.
You know, the more games you officiate, like if anything else, you pick up these things extremely easy. It comes second nature, you know, to you as you continue to advance in officiating. You ready, Ian?
Yeah, 1 minute.
And you always try to judge the calls on the criteria from the rules. You know, we have as officials literally a split second to get how many of a criteria covered to blow the whistle or to not blow the whistle.
All right, here we go. I wanted to get ahead of that before it came out, but was that in the act of shooting?
Could you go back? Could you go back? Could you go back again, please?
No, I doesn't think that this was in the act of shooting. The player was still trying to control the ball before he got tripped up.
Okay.
Good night again.
Good.
I agree.
Mm-hmm. So you would say then the first thing that you have to look at was did the ball come to rest in either his hand or hands? If you can answer that first one, if that first one hasn't been established, then it makes no sense going forward to determine if it was in the act of shooting, because that's the first principle you must have. The ball is either coming to rest in his hand or hands. Jennifer?
Yes.
Good.
I understand you.
All right.
I gotta give it to you.
So it was not in the act of shooting. So the referee was dead wrong there. And this is an example of the inconsistency that we make in this call. One more clip. Your answers? Did he gather up the ball?
No.
No, he didn't. He didn't.
Darius, can you see the video? I see that you said that you cannot see the video. Darius. know, Darius doesn't seem to want to
All
talk
right,
to me.
no problem. The videos we're gonna put the videos also in the link at the end of the presentation that you can also review for yourself. But scenario like Tasmar had said earlier, you've got to judge the action. If the ball had not been gathered up, the act of shooting has not begun. So then you cannot then award free throws for a player being in the act of shooting. So remember, you got to ask yourself those questions. Did he gather up the ball? Was it a continuous motion for field goal? Did he change or did he do something else after? Did he pass the ball off? Did he begin a new act of shooting? Did he hold the ball?
Question.
Understood?
Somebody asked to replay the last video, Ian.
Okay. Okay, so Jen, someone is asking, Kieran is asking to give some additional explanation on the term, the ball coming to rest in a player's hand.
When, like for instance, when the ball is in your palm, pretty much the ball is at rest when you have cut the ball. If you hold the ball is at rest like that. Even if you don't completely have your hand under the ball, as you could tell, like sometimes when people lay up, but at some point in time, anyhow, your hand is still underneath the ball. So underneath the ball, palm or holding, when you have clear control of it, it's pretty much the ball being at rest. Because after you do that, especially after a dribble, you could only pass or shoot. You cannot dribble again. If not, that's an infraction of the rule.
Okay, Lenora?
Yeah, good night. Question. It's just something that came to me that I see players here in Guyana do sometimes. They gather the ball, going to make, especially in a layup. But sometimes they would move the ball as though they're going to, like a fake, as though they're going to pass it off to the sider or something.
Mm-hmm.
And then they go to, and then they do a shot. So if they're fouled when they're like faking, as though they're going to pass it off, would that still be in the act? So I'm just trying to run it through my mind.
Understand. Have they done something else? Have they passed the ball off? Have they held the ball?
Well, they're still holding the ball, but they're going to the basket, but they make like a fake as though they're going to hand the ball over to another player, but they don't, and then they bring it back and go for the layup. So sometimes when they're doing that action, they're fouled.
So you're saying that they're beginning, am I getting you correct in what you're saying? You're saying they're beginning another act of shooting?
I guess okay. All right, thanks. Yeah, I was just trying to work it out. Thank you.
Mr. Theon. Mr. Theron.
Oh, yeah, good night. Right. My question is, I know if a player is in the act of shooting and they get fouled going towards the basket and they pass the ball off, then it's not considered an act of shooting.
Correct.
If their hands are held down so they can't get to release that ball, it's still in the act of shooting. However, I know there's certain times that a player will get fouled about to shoot that ball and the whistle blow, and for some reason, I don't know why they do it, they just come back down with that ball in their hand instead of taking that shot. In the case of that, how do we treat that?
It's not right. Hold on, Jen. If the player holds the ball, if the player does not go, if the player changes that continuous motion, is a continuous motion. If the player changes that continuous motion, what is his or her action?
I guess they change from the act of shooting.
No longer in the act of shooting.
Hold on a minute, but you've got to be very clear. Jen was about to say it's still in the act of shooting, so you've got to make sure that this is the exact action of the player and not what you perceive.
But listen, what I'm saying is that that player sized up correctly. He's in the air to take a shot, and then he gets hit. But for some reason, maybe how uncomfortable he is based on probably he got thrown off in the air or probably whatever is the reason, instead of releasing that shot, he's still in a position to shoot it, he just comes back down. Because it happens a lot for me. Like, I just wonder why did he just release that ball.
Okay, so what you have just said to me is that someone prevented the continuous motion. So if someone has prevented the continuous motion, it is still in the act of shooting.
Okay, that's why I was asking, because in the rule that you read, it stated they hold the player hands or whatever, but in that case, they didn't even touch the hand. They probably hit that player across the waist or the hip or wherever to prevent them from scoring, but they just didn't release that ball from their hand on their own.
Important aspect, the ball gathered up. Continuous motion. If at that stage the continuous motion is prevented, you have got an act of shooting.
Here,
let me say something.
Go ahead. Hold on. Hold on, Derek.
Okay.
The article says that the act of shooting begins when the player starts the continuous movement, normally preceding the release of the ball. So at that point in time is when the whistle blows. So all of that has already occurred.
Already happened.
So he's in the act, he or she is in the act of shooting. Because at the time that you blew the whistle, you're of the opinion that the player would have shot the ball. Go ahead.
So we've got Derek followed by Will.
I was saying what I see in there is there's a lot of players that they fret blocks. So sometimes they double clutch to get rid of the ball. You know, so it's something like what they were just trying to explain there. But you're still in the act of shooting.
Right.
Judge the action.
A lot of players, some players fret blocks, you know, so they like hang time and do the double clutch and so on. So it's still in the act of shooting to me.
Yes.
All right.
Mr. Wilfred?
Yes. I got a situation. Mostly it happens at the end of games where the defending team, they're in penalty and there's not much time left and they're behind. And the offensive team, they got the ball in, let me say still 20 seconds to play in the game. And then you hear the coach scream from the side, make the foul, make the foul. The offensive player knows that. So once a defender reaches him, even if he is at his backcourt, he starts to make an act of shooting. But mostly I see just referees whistle and give 2 shots because the defender is also smart. They make kind of a friendly holding, completely holding fault while the shot cannot get up. But how do you see those situations?
Judge the action. Judge the action. I'll say this to you. In the spirit of the game, always judge the action. And you can't penalize, I'll say this to you as well, you can't penalize a player for knowing the rules and using the rules to his or her advantage.
But the thing about it is as well, is that you as the official, you always have to be mindful of which part of the game is happening at that point in time and the intentions of the team. And you know that the coach, you're down and the coach wants you to fall so you could stop the game. That's basically what's happening at that point in time. So you need to see everything and judge, because they, like was said earlier, sometimes the players are smart, they feel the contact, barely hear the whistle go off and chuck the ball at the ring. So you really need to see the entire play and judge what actually happened. Did the foul, was the player, the offensive player, really in the act of shooting, or did he or she just feel the contact, know the referee's going to blow the foul and chuck the ball at the ring? So you need to be mindful of those things.
All right, last question. Mr. Andy has his hand raised. Andy? Okay. Well, at this stage, I'd just like on your behalf to thank Ms. Joseph Hackett for a very, very informative session tonight. I am sure that we all learned a lot. And this is one of the plays that we should see us now consistently call throughout the region. Jennifer, on behalf of the entire group, thank you very much for a very informative session tonight.
Thank you very much for having me. And again, I apologize for my partner, Roberta, for not being able to make the meeting.
Good evening, everybody.
Yeah, good night.
Good evening.
Night.
Good night.